Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Birds of the Round Table. Here we are every Tuesday talking about the Eagles. We're going to talk about the Rams game. We're going to talk about the Jets game. But before we do, let's introduce everybody to my right, I guess. Shane at Shane Half NFL. What is going on, Shane? How are you tonight? How are you feeling about the Birds?
What's up, Ryan? I mean, as we were talking about off air, I'm pretty sure I just hurt my wrist doing the dishes. So I'm getting old, but fortunately I don't line up and play defense for the Eagles. So you won't see me on the injury report. I'm feeling great about the Eagles. Really excited to get into this matchup.
All right. So we'll throw you on the day-to-day list. Hopefully, you'll be a full participant in practice later on this week. Moving on, we got Dives at Mr. Crockpot. Dives, what's going on, buddy? How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, man. I'm feeling better. This is therapy, man. I'm actually just starting to feel better after last night's horrible loss for the Phillies. So we're here. We're going to keep plugging along. But, we're talking Birds, kind of get me back into this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Birds have not been disappointing at all this year, 5-0. And last but not least, saving the best for last, we have David at PHL Eagle News. David, what's going on, man? How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm sorry to hear that you and Shane are going on the IR, but I am happy that Nakobe seems to be progressing well after not hearing anything the entire time he's been out. It was pretty nice to see them open up the practice window for him, and he can be back as early this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it, man.
If I'm being honest, I really don't mind being a limited participant for doing the dishes for the next week or two.
You'll take the 4 weeks off.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't even make that joke because a week ago I tweeted out that there's no more exhilarating feeling than having a jar of peanut butter pretzels in your filing cabinet in your office and successfully eating those over the course of 3 weeks and then sneaking the trash out and nobody finding out. I tweeted that a week ago. Today, my wife came home from Trader Joe's with some chocolate-covered peanut butter pretzels for me. I'm now concerned mildly that she has a burner account that follows me on Twitter. So if I'm not here next week, she's also watching the YouTube channel.
Yeah, you're screwed, buddy. That's any other clear, but all right. Well, listen, let's talk a little bit about the Rams game before we kind of get into all the specifics. Dives, I'll actually start with you. Tell me tell me your thoughts on this game. What's some of the highlights, the lowlights, and share what you thought.
It was a tale of two halves. I go to the adjustments the Eagles made between the first and second half. I mean, Josh Jobe. Across the board, the Eagles' coverage was horrendous in that first half. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp absolutely torched them in every single facet. And you kind of understand why. Josh Jobe never played a defensive snap before this season. Eli Ricks played one snap before Week 5. Mario Goodrich played one game in his life. The Rams targeted them, and it was successful. And then the second half happened truly because of the Eagles' pressure. They were absolutely terrific. They had 3 second-half sacks, 5 hits, 5 quarterback hits. The Rams had 5 possessions after halftime. That included 3 punts, a turnover on downs, and the final possession that ended the game. They made adjustments, but at the end of the day, the performance from Jalen Carter, the performance from Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, it was nice to see the defensive line get consistent pressure again and again and again throughout that second half. Because you look at the week prior, that defensive line. It wasn't really coming from the defensive line. It was more so Nicholas Morrow and things like that. So for me, in general, I thought the Eagles defense took over in that second half. And it was truly dominant because there were a lot of mistakes. And the score could have been a lot more than it was. It was just dominant.
Yeah, that's well said. Tale of two halves, that's for sure. David, I'll go to you next. Thoughts on the games against the Los Angeles Rams?
In addition to the defensive line, my biggest takeaway was the offensive line. If they continue to play this well, they'll just play keep away with teams. They racked up 454 yards. They had 4 drives of double-digit length plays. They had one of 10, 12, 15, and a 17 play drive. It's unheard of to be that consistent, having drives of that nature all the time. And also, I think Brian Johnson looked a little bit like Shane Steichen from last year, where he threw early in the game and then he pounded it the second half. He threw to get a lead and then he pounded it to just maintain it. So I think that's a good recipe going forward. It worked last year. It looks like it's going to work this year. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it was the most consistent, best win they've had all season.
Nice. All right, last but not least, let's go with Shane. Shane, how about them Rams game?
Yeah, I mean, this was a great Jalen Hurts game, and I think any conversation about the offense has to start there. He accounted for 375 yards on the day, 303 through the air, 72 yards rushing. He accounted for 2 touchdowns. This was Hurts' first 40-yard rushing game since the Super Bowl. And we talked about, is he injured? What's going on there? Well, he's not injured. He looked like himself running in this game. He looked like the 2022 version that was in MVP consideration. 0.27 EPA per dropback. Any day over 0.2 is a great day in the office. I tweeted this one out earlier today. He had 4.72 EPA as a scrambler, which is the third highest mark for him since the start of the 2022 season. And it's more than double what he added over the first 4 games combined of the year. So Hurts is back. He's running well. And people have been concerned about the offense. The Eagles' offense right now is better in both offensive success rate, which ranks 4th in the NFL, and EPA per drive, which ranks 5th in the NFL. And they're scoring more points per game than they were through 5 weeks last year. So although there's things you can be concerned about, like red zone play calling, the offense is still cooking. I thought this was a really good stat that BLG pointed out on Twitter. He said that he went back and charted it out on red zone possessions where Kenny Gainwell gets a touch. The Eagles have scored 1 touchdown in 6 red zone trips. On red zone trips where DeAndre Swift gets a red zone touch, the Eagles have scored 6 touchdowns on 9 trips. And there's no overlap. Like, it's either Gainwell in the red zone or it's Swift. So, I mean, it's not hard. It's not rocket science. Give the ball to DeAndre Swift in the red zone. Stop doing the Kenny Gainwell thing. I know he's a better pass blocker. I know that, you're not going to run DeAndre Swift into the ground. Quit letting DeAndre Swift run you down the field and then handing it to Gainwell to stall out drives. That's my negative Nancy take on the Eagles offense. But everything else is great.
Can I comment on this comment real quick? All right, so Bradley Roby, he played 14 coverage snaps on Sunday. He had a passer rating allowed of 47.9 and a yards per reception of -2. Not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I will say that. So I'm working on a defensive all 22 video. I don't have it out yet. I will say, watching it though, I think the Eagles got more lucky than played better defensively in the second half. And part of it's a product of the pass rush. Stafford looked like he was rushing throws. He misfired some throws he's normally going to hit. And, you get credit for the pressure. But as far as coverage, Desai tried a lot of different stuff. I'm not honestly sure any of it worked. I think Stafford just started missing throws, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that miss on Higbee was so big.
And Cooper Kupp just ran out of gas. And you could see it. He just couldn't. Stafford was throwing to spots and Kupp wasn't getting there. But the plays were there if he was a little faster. He just wasn't getting there.
Yeah.
Oh, well said. I honestly, Shane, that might have been my favorite stat, the Kenny Gainwell versus Swift red zone. I have been a big hater of Kenny Gainwell this year, ever since we saw exactly what Swift is and what he can do. There's no question in my mind he needs to be the absolute number 1 featured back, and they need to stop with this Kenny Gainwell crap and really just hardly ever need to use him. That's my opinion, but I'm glad.
I will think that was what Kelsey was mad at.
Yeah.
He was telling Nick Sirianni to get Gainwell off the field. No,
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I will say, I just love that. You're winning the game. You're about to put this game away, and Jason Kelsey's fired up on the sideline about a delay of game in a game that's over. I mean, that's the culture in this team, right? That The attention to detail is there. You see Devontae Smith and Nick Sirianni are fired up about that 3rd and 2 screen to Quez Watkins. Like, I love that. I love that they hold themselves and each other accountable in that way. But on the Kenny Gainwell thing, I do have to say, like, Kenny Gainwell about decleated Aaron Donald on 1 rep in pass protection, which was pretty fun to watch. He had another one where it was just kind of a busted play, and he picked up his guy off the edge. He was not on a route, but Hurts was in trouble, and he just leaked out and got the pass from Hurts. It was a 3rd down, broke a tackle, and got to the stick. So, like, there is use cases for Kenny Gainwell. That use case isn't in the red zone.
Yeah, right. That's for darn sure. So,
before we move on from the Rams, can you put up that picture of Hurts?
Yeah.
That picture right there. If Jalen Carter is the bread man, Jalen Hurts is the rubber band man. There is no way that ankle bend on that 1st down run. First off, he shouldn't even have picked up that 1st down. I don't even know how that happened. But how he's not in a walking boot the day after that game is just unbelievable.
Yeah. By the way,
sorry, go ahead, Ryan. No, I was going to say, when you watch that play live, you would have never known that. Good on whoever slowed that down slow-mo and frame by frame to catch that, because no one, I don't think anyone could have seen that live while he was running that.
Yeah, that first touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert is one of the more impressive throws that Hurts has made this season. Single high safety. At the snap, he looked left to keep that safety in the middle of the field. And then Goddard's breaking, it's not a post route. He's just kind of coming up the seam. It's bending inside a little bit, but he throws that ball behind Goddard, and he does it. If he throws that in front of Goddard, that's a hospital ball. Like, he throws it behind Goddard. Goddard jumps and twists and catches it. And so, like, he's moving this way, but he's getting hit in the back because Hurts spun him around. Like, this is a phenomenal throw by Hurts, and that's a tough catch from Goddard. And Goddard was on one in this game, had a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a nice day for him. The first 4 plays, 3 of them went to Goddard. Couldn't have been happier about that. And yeah, like you said, that touchdown throw. And honestly, it's as if he just knew the only and most perfect place to put that ball for him, so that Goddard wouldn't have gotten destroyed by the defenders coming in. So, listen, we are 5-0. There are plenty of things that we can nitpick. And, yes, the offense is looking great. Could be a lot better, sure. Defense looking better. Continue, hopefully. But, listen, at the end of the day, we have a 2-game lead. Dallas is 3-2. We're 5-0. The Reds, I almost said it. The Commanders are 2-3, and the Giants, I don't even know how they got a win looking at them at this point. They're 1-4, so things are looking great in the division. We couldn't be happier about things through 5 games. Real quick, before we move on to talk about the Jets, does anybody have anything they want to add before we move on about the game against the Rams in Los Angeles?
Jalen Carter's the best
Carter.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
He's the best. He's the best player on the Eagles defense, and it's not even close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no Fletcher Cox, no problem. They held the Rams to 3.9 yards per carry. Fletcher Cox, that sack he had on Stafford, we just threw him like a rag doll. Come on, man! Like, this guy is putting out just an unbelievable season through 5 weeks. He's an all-pro. And if it continues, man, we're talking just an unbelievable football player in Philadelphia for 10-plus years, man. Unbelievable. This guy is a game changer. It's funny. We're going to talk about the Jets, too, because the Jets drafted one of my favorite interior offensive linemen in last year's draft, which we'll get into. But he just throws everybody away. It's his twitch and swim moves and bull rushes, and nobody can stand in front of this man. It's truly incredible. He's elite as it gets.
The Eagles, you watch how they handled Aaron Donald. Like, there were 4 hands on Aaron Donald every snap. And then you watch how teams are treating Jalen Carter, who, not in this game, but because Cox was out, but he's playing next to Fletcher Cox. He's playing on a defensive line with Hassan Reddick, who had 17 sacks last year. He's playing on a defensive line with Josh Sweat, who who had double-digit sacks. And out of all those guys, Jalen Carter is the player that opposing offenses are like, that's the guy we're double teaming. We need 4 hands on him every play or he's going to wreck the game. And sometimes he does it anyways. I mean, he was double teamed. Aaron Donald was double teamed. Aaron Donald made no noise. Jalen Carter had 2 sacks. He had a tackle for loss. Like, he was in the backfield disrupting all game long.
Yeah,
incredible.
He has a chance to really do something special this year. And obviously, if he continues a special career here in Philadelphia. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is so nice to see the Eagles draft a player and that player actually hit and exceed expectations. It's truly amazing. So, all right. So now we are going to be moving on to the game against the New York Jets this Sunday in the Meadowlands up in New Jersey. Yours truly will be there in person to root on the Philadelphia Eagles as I am going up there with one of our many wonderful sponsors, Philly Sports Trips. If you have not, by the way, get on over to phillysportstrips.com, book yourself a trip with them. But yeah, let's talk about the important matchups coming up in this game. There we go. Yeah. Something got a little nice. All right, so let's talk about these key matchups. Eagles versus Jets. Jets coming off of a nice win yesterday or Sunday. Sorry, forget what day it is. Q, come on, man, get out of here with this noise. Q, every day comes with something. Oh Lord. What up, Aaron? Aaron says, need to keep the streak going against those Jets. Let's go. And Mystic Biscuit, love the name. Surprised by Bradley Roby's performance. Before we do, let's answer that question real quick. Anybody have a thought on Bradley Roby's performance coming off the streets and being thrown into the mix against a very good Rams wide receiver group?
I'll wait for Shane to answer.
I mean, I didn't think he would play. Like, I didn't think you would sign him and play him 2 days later.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have Cam Jurgens go to IR and you didn't just, make him active, I don't think the intention was to play him. But you watch that first drive and you see, oh, Mario Goodrich. That's not good. Let's try Eli Ricks. That's not good either. You know what? I think we'll pull Roby out here. He's fine. Let's put him out on the street, or let's put him out there in street clothes, and it's probably better. So I didn't expect him to play, so I'm surprised by that. But I mean, yeah, and I don't think it was necessarily him making the defense better. I think Stafford just started missing, but I am excited he's a part of the team. I think it's going to be very beneficial down the road.
I love how he was very clear, like how sore he was at the end of the game. So yeah, like I don't want to rip this dude yet. Give him like a week to get ready for this week. Like Shane said, I didn't expect him to play, so he did the best he could among a secondary group that included Darius Slay and James Bradbury just playing like crap. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad he got the opportunity. Glad we got to dip his toes. What up, D? What's going on, buddy? Green Talons checking in. DePaul Ray. Carter about to have 1.5 sacks minimum on Sunday versus the Jets O-line. They are pretty trash. Yeah, I'm glad he got in. And yeah, let's give him a full week of practice and really see what he can do. But let's move on to our key matchups, Eagles versus the Jets. David, I think I will start with you. Tell us, what is your matchup to watch, Eagles versus Jets.
Well, my matchup is the least of the key matchups because you three guys have taken the most important three. So we're going to start with the least important matchup of the game. But I went with the battle between the special teams, and mainly I did that because I was looking up the numbers. The Eagles have only allowed 53 punt return yards this year. The Jets have only allowed 54, and I'm kind of excited about Britton Covey. I've been a big fan of him ever since last year. I'm excited to see what he's done. He has run back a punt of 20 or more yards in 3 straight games, and the Eagles have not had that type of production from the position since 2014 when they had all-world returner Darren Sproles. So it is pretty exciting to have that type of weapon on the field again. They both have dynamic returners as well. I don't remember the Jets return guy's name, but he's already ran one back for a touchdown. I should remember his name because he was being featured during Hard Knocks the whole offseason, but I don't remember his name anymore. And who was it?
No, I don't remember it either. But he sure was featured pretty heavily.
Yeah, they showed him a lot. But and then you got Jake Elliott versus Greg Zuerlein. I think we win that one. Jake is already leading the league in points for kickers with 59. So I don't know. I think it's a key matchup because I think the way Covey changes the field is pretty important in these types of games. And I think their ability to stop whatever that guy's name is for the Jets because he's been pretty good as well. So I think it'll be Gibson. I think it'll be a pretty good matchup to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both returners have had a fairly decent season. I'm really happy. Covey has been able to kind of step up and improve from what we saw from him last year. And listen, Jake Elliott is Mr. Reliable. But again, you look at it like, oh well, he has the most points in the NFL for a kicker, but what does that say about the offense? It says they're giving him a lot of opportunity to kick field goals rather than extra points. So
you could look some in the red zone, but
exactly. That just goes back to the red zone inefficiency, I guess, or the level to which we expect our red zone offense to be performing at. So.
But when you got a weapon like Elliott, who you're confident can hit 60-yard field goals anytime you need it, that is just an unbelievable weapon to have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love the fact that Nick Sirianni basically came out last week and was like, yeah, I don't watch field goals. I literally just turn around, I look at one of my coaches, and I look for him to react to know if we made it or not. Like, I love that. That's hilarious to me that he doesn't even watch them.
A little nugget on Elliott during pregame at the Tampa game. He hit a 72-yarder in pregame. I mean, Jesus, that dude's got a leg, man.
That's crazy.
72.
Granted, it's a straight line and nobody's trying to block it, but 72 yards, I mean, that's unreal, man. Right. We'll get to the better matchups.
Thank you, Cincinnati, for putting him on your practice squad in 2017.
Yes, exactly. We definitely have the Cincinnati Bengals to thank for that. So, all right, let's move on to the next and apparently more important matchups for this Eagles-Jets game. Dibes, I'm going to go with you next. What do you got for a more important matchup than the special teams? Come on.
Yeah, it's got to be the Eagles pass rush versus the Jets offensive line. We heard it yesterday. I believe Elijah Vera Tucker is out for the year. By far the team's best and most versatile offensive lineman. Second straight season-ending injury for AVT, man. Best pass blocking lineman per ESPN analytics. He ranked 16th best among offensive tackles with a 92% pass block win rate. The Jets do not have a single interior offensive lineman ranked within the top 20 when it comes to pass protection. The Jets are 27th best when it comes to pass protection as a team at 48%. For reference purposes, the Eagles are the 4th best in pass protection at 69% through 5 weeks. The Jets are going to give us Max Mitchell to kind of salvage the situation. He's a second-year tackle. He started 5 games last year. Last week, played the entire second half. He has a horrendous pass blocking grade per PFF of 34.2. So you have to think the Jets' pass protection is arguably the biggest concern for New York on Sunday because the pass rush for the Eagles is truly starting to come together with Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, and Hassan Reddick. The Eagles have the 6th best pass rush win rate in the league at 54%. Jalen Carter is second best in pass rush win rate among defensive tackles. Josh Sweat, despite struggling the first few weeks, is now 12th best in the league in pass rush win rate among edge rushers. And the Eagles are currently tied for the best in the NFL in hurry percentage at 11% and number one in total pressures with 58. And even better, the cherry on the top, the Jets currently have the worst pressure percentage allowed of any team in the NFL at 31.4%. I don't think Zach Wilson makes it this week, guys. I don't think he makes it through the game. I truly don't. This has every billing of a massive sack party for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that they don't knock Zach Wilson out of the game because Trevor Siemian would give them a lot better chance to win.
Oh, snap.
Like, Zach, here you go. You want Zach Wilson under pressure this year is completing 30% of his passes with 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions.
I mean, we all know the history of the Eagles and backup quarterbacks. So listen, I'm there with you. Let's keep him in the game. So yeah, no, that is a great matchup. Come on, Quentin. Give me a break, bro.
To be fair, he's been saying this every week, and I think
I know. He really
he's purposeful. I think it's deliberate.
He is the most consistent human being I know. But yeah, listen, that is a fantastic matchup. Shane, I'll go with you next, and then I'll go last. What's your matchup to watch for the Eagles versus those Jets?
I mean, it's the cornerbacks of the Jets against the Eagles receivers. The Eagles have a top receiver duo in the NFL and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. The Jets have the best cornerback duo in the NFL with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. I mean, everybody knows what Sauce Gardner did last year. Not as many people know what DJ Reed did last year. DJ Reed was phenomenal last year for the Jets. If you look at PFF grading, Sauce Gardner was the number 1 graded coverage cornerback. DJ Reed was number 11. Like 2 guys in the top 11. That's pretty impressive. And then, of course, you had Slay and Bradbury at 12 and 13. But these guys combined last year to break up 24 passes. They hold in 3 interceptions. They're really good. Now, they haven't been quite as good this year. That's not a statement on their talent. It's cornerback plays, not necessarily sticky. There's a little bit of deflation that happens in your soul when Aaron Rodgers goes down the first drive of your first game and you're stuck with Zach Wilson again. So, but I think it's going to be a battle between these guys, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith against Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. If I was guessing, I mean, Sauce Gardner is going to follow AJ Brown, I would have to think. I said earlier on a different show that I think take the Devonta Smith passing yardage overs this week. The Eagles have been, Dallas Goedert. They didn't have Dallas Goedert going. They came out and targeted him. They've done it with A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith was a little frustrated last game. He's not going to be the guy drawing Sauce Gardner. I think it could be a big Devonta Smith game. But that battle, the wide receivers against the Jets secondary, is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You have, 2 stud receivers for the Eagles. You have 2 stud corners for the Jets. Yeah, it's going to certainly be a battle, that is for sure. And yeah, I'm very curious as to how the matchups are going to work. Whether Sauce is going to just stick with AJ and run with him the whole time, which is most likely. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they play that for sure. All right. Well, I guess we'll save the best for last. We'll go with my matchup for this week, and I am going to go. What did I end up choosing? I forget. The Eagles running backs versus the Jets D line. So this Jets D line is very good. Obviously, you have Quentin Williams, Big Q, who is he is a monster. But don't forget about some of the other players on that Jets defensive line. You have John Franklin Myers, who's extremely talented. You have Carl Lawson, You have Quentin Jefferson. You also have Al Woods. You have Solomon Thomas. These are guys that aren't theoretical starters, but they have a good rotation. Michael Clemens. They have Will McDonald, recently drafted by the Jets this year, who certainly Dives was talking about earlier. Great prospect coming from last year's draft. So yeah, they certainly have some very talented players on that defensive line, and Swift has certainly been really good so far this year. He's been able to kind of hit his holes, hit his marks where need be. And listen, this offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles is going to certainly have their hands full. Not only protecting for Jalen Hurts, but finding these holes for Swift and hopefully very, very minimally for Kenny Gainwell. But I'm interested to see how this offensive line holds up. Especially with Cam Jurgens not being there. Things certainly worked out last week, but again, you're going up against a different caliber, of a overall offensive line rather than just the kind of the one player there with the Rams and Aaron Donald. So it'll be interesting to see how how this offensive line holds up, especially that right side without Cam Jurgens. So hopefully Swift has himself a nice day, and they don't give up on the run too early, as sometimes the Eagles tend to do when it's not working early. So let's hope they stick to it and really break down this Jets D line. So that's what I'm certainly going to be looking forward to. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles can run on anybody. I think the way you stop the Eagles' running game is to load up the box to the degree that it opens up those shots over the top. If there's a game you get worried about that, it's against the Jets, who probably feel pretty comfortable putting Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed on an island and stuffing the box. And like you mentioned, they've got really good run-stopping edge rushers and things. And if you can funnel everything inside to where you've got more bodies, like if we're talking about next week how the Jets won the game, it's that they stacked the box and stopped the run, and their secondary was able to hold up on an island, and maybe you get some fluky turnovers in there. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's their blueprint. That's what they're putting on the chalkboard, trying to diagram out for a win.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Those are our key matchups to watch for this week, for this upcoming Sunday matchup versus the New York Jets. Why don't we go into what are we going to do? Our player of the game predictions, score predictions. Before we talk about the Jets, let's just reveal who we all had for player of the game last year. Oh, no, Dives, no. Oh man, I'm fantastic. Listen, I haven't hosted a show in a while, so I'm a little rusty. My apologies, guys. I keep forgetting we have all these fancy videos that we got to keep playing. But let's talk about the player of the game from the Rams game. Let's see who we all thought was going to be the player of the game, and what our score predictions were for last week. Dives, you have your fancy Excel sheet.
I do. I will put it up on the screen here. We have some catching up to do. We have to score weeks 4, 4 and 3 still. We didn't do that yet. But looking back at week 5, Ryan, you went with Dallas Goedert. Well done, sir.
Yeah, did. Called it.
David, you went with Jake Elliott. I went with DeAndre Swift, and we didn't get one from Shane. But that's how I'm giving it to Ryan.
Yeah, listen, like I said, when I saw Dallas Goedert get heavily involved early on in this game, I knew I had it locked in after the first 4 minutes of this game. There was no stopping Dallas, and I'm glad that he got his game. Now I can go back to calling Devontae Smith player of the game for the next foreseeable future. So, I'll gladly take the win there.
Are we good with Dallas Goedert?
Yeah.
All right. Dallas Goedert it is. Congrats, Ryan.
Thank you. I let you guys win a couple weeks, so I figured I'd pick it up.
All right. I'm going to go with my player of the game. I've done it 2 of the last 3 weeks. Although during our preview show, I predicted this guy, Jalen Carter. I'm going to just keep it rolling here. He is just an unbelievable player, a Jerome Brown-esque player. It was either him or someone else, but I look at this pass protection for the New York Jets and all the injuries that are happening and people rotating in new positions like Joe Tippmann, who was one of my guys, Shane. Remember Joe Tippmann?
I do, yeah.
I love that guy. He's been playing guard for the Jets. And, there's a lot of guys on that Jets offensive line that are good run blockers, not good pass protectors. So I think all of the signs point to yet another huge game for Jalen Carter. I'm going to go Eagles win. This is one of those games just like the Commanders where I was weirdly confident. But we all saw how the Commanders game went. So I'm not going to say a blowout. I'll say the Eagles win in a chippy game, 27-23.
All right, 27-23. Love it. Why don't we go with David? What do you got next? Who's your player of the game? What is your final score prediction?
I'm going to go with the unconventional person. I'm picking James Bradbury as player of the game. He's going back outside to his natural position. He's familiar with the New York Stadium. And I think the pressure will cause Zach to throw some passes he'll be regretting, and that Bradbury will take one back to the house. I don't know if that'll win it if he actually does it, but I'm going for it instead of taking the offensive player. Despite me thinking that they're going to win 33-16 and roll with a lot of points. I'm going with 2 defensive touchdowns in this game.
Oh, love it. 33-16. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
All right, got it.
All right. Love the confidence there. That's a huge 17-point win there, according to David. And I love the Bradbury pick, man. It's very unconventional. And listen, I think you get extra points when you go super unconventional. Isn't that right?
When was the last time we had back-to-back player of the game predictions on defense? Probably never.
Probably never. You're probably right on that one. So, all right, Shane, what do you got? Player of the game, score prediction.
Give me Devonta Smith. I mentioned it earlier. I think Devonta Smith could be up for a big game. I think the Eagles are going to try to get him the ball early. I think it's going to be made easier by the fact Sauce Gardner is not following him around. So give me Devonta Smith for a 100-yard game and a touchdown.
All right.
I would like to formally make that a protest as he's stolen my
Shane,
official.
what's your score prediction, Shane?
31-3. I think the Eagles are going to blow out the Nets. I think Zach Wilson stinks. I think their offensive line's in a bad spot, and the Eagles' offense is hitting their stride. So 31-3, Eagles roll in this one.
Wow. That is a confident man right there in the Eagles this week. That is for sure.
The only reason I'm not doing that because I did this before, and I never do it, where I thought the Eagles would roll the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm never doing it for a Commanders game ever again.
Right.
But I do think the Eagles roll.
Clearly, there's something the Eagles just don't do when it comes to, predictable, easy divisional wins.
Right.
Yeah, this is an AFC team. The Eagles are like, we can really pull the stops out and just beat them. We don't want to hurt NFC teams' feelings. We'll keep it close. AFC team, it's cutthroat. Let's go.
All right, absolutely love it. DePaul Ray says, haha, 31-3. Effing savage. Love it. Well, since Shane has stolen Devontae Smith from right underneath my nose. He's literally been my boy 90% of the season so far. I will have to go another way. I'm going to go, again, it's so easy to pick Jalen Hurts. I almost feel like Jalen Hurts should never be picked by any of us, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to go with Swift. Again, there's a lot to be said about the Jets, coverage, and obviously Sauce and DJ Reed. Maybe Hurts doesn't have the greatest day throwing the ball to, with those corners covering Brown and Smith. But listen, I do think that Swift has the ability to make some moves, even though the Jets do have a very good defensive line. I think they're going to rely a little bit more on the run this game, and I think they are going to be up later in the game, thus running the ball a lot more. So I'm going to go DeAndre Swift as my player of the game. I'm going to go with 28-14 Philadelphia Eagles in a wonderful victory that I will probably miss. I'd say, a quarter and a half maybe, because I will most likely have had too many Bloody Marys in the morning at the tailgate up in New York, and I will ultimately pass out for about a quarter and a half, but I'll wake up ready to go.
We still have yet to have anybody pick a non-Eagles team.
I know. We've only picked Eagle victories.
You're very well right.
Well, we're all right. So
we're combined 20 and 0.
Until it doesn't work. Oh, God. That's too funny.
Michael says 27-6 Eagles win. Swift player of the game.
Love it. You got my player of the game, and you almost got his score. I love it. Absolutely. Should be a great matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Jets, who, as I don't know if you've heard, never have they lost to the New York Jets. That's me knocking on some wood there.
Yeah.
Don't want to jinx it. But listen, they are undefeated. Only team the Eagles have never lost to. So, granted, they don't obviously play them very often, but still, both teams have certainly been around long enough. So, certainly something to keep an eye on. And it's going to be a great game either way up in New Jersey in the Meadowlands. This is surprisingly my first trip up to the Meadowlands. Never been to a Giants game. And obviously still haven't. As I'll be, of course, going to a Jets game as my first experience. But and Quentin, I swear, dude, you gotta cut it out, bro, with your traps and your jinxes and all that. Man,
the Eagles
punch.
The Eagles have beaten the Jets by at least 2 scores the last 5 matchups.
Yeah, it's been domination for sure. I mean, listen, the Jets have been quite crappy for very long. And listen, with Aaron Rodgers, this will definitely would be a different story. And let's be honest, I was more excited about going up and seeing the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson, not so much. So I fully expect them to roll this Jets team. Again, Wilson, you get in his face. I mean, honestly, the first time Jalen Carter gets even near Zach Wilson, I fully expect him to probably pee his pants and just want to throw the ball away the whole game. So
I said the same thing about Sam Howell, who I thought stunk, and we saw that happen. So we'll see.
Well, again, Philadelphia Eagles have a way about the Washington football teams that we certainly bring it out of them. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a weird thing with rivals, man, and divisional teams. So, as Shane said though earlier, I fully expect that not to be the case with Zach Wilson and the Jets. The Jets can beat teams like Denver, barely. But when they face real teams like the Eagles, it's going to be a little bit of a different story. So that is for sure. So, all right, folks. Well, there you have it. We gave you our players of the game, our prediction for the scores, and we're going to keep track and tally them up and make sure we don't miss any weeks here moving forward. But does anybody have any final thoughts before we get on out of here, and then we'll pop off for the end of the show.
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies.
Stop giving Kenny Gainwell red zone touches.
At what point do you think about, like Shane said last week, at what point do you think about giving red zone play calling duties away from Brian Johnson? We're getting close to the meat and potatoes of this schedule. That's got to be, Shane's 100% right. That's got to be something discussed. They were so elite last year. They're leaving so many points off the scoreboard. It's now public. Like, you're seeing it on the sideline. Impact the Eagles players. So something's got to be done.
For sure. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much. DePaul, thank you. Appreciate the comments, buddy. Always love hearing it. Please join us every single week, Tuesday at 8 o'clock for the Birds of the Round Table. Make sure that you are following Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube and all other social media. As always, thank you everybody who commented. Michael, Quentin, there's Aaron. I'm gonna literally go through them all. Ivan, thank you very much. Trey, Green Talons, Mystic Biscuit, the name of the day. Eric, and of course, I think I saw a Shane in there. Weird name, Shane Half. I don't know that guy. All right, before we get out of here, let's tell the people where we can find everybody here. I'll start with you, Shane. Where can the people find you?
You pointed the wrong way, by the way.
I'm pointing the right way to me, baby. That's all I know.
Not to anybody else. You can check me out on Twitter and YouTube at Shane Half NFL. I've got an all 22 passing game review. It's like 24 minutes long. Be perfect for your lunch break tomorrow. Go check that one out. I'm planning to have a defensive all 22 up at some point tomorrow. Defense is a little harder for me to work through, but I'll have that up at some point. You can also check out my whole NFL podcast, Chalk Talk. Mark and I will be going live in about an hour to break down all the Week 5 games. And as I'm saying that, I realized I forgot to take notes about Monday Night Football. But that's okay because the Packers stink and they don't matter.
Period. That sums up the game, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That was a pretty good summary there. Dives, what's up? Where can we find you? What are you not doing? Really, is what would be a shorter list. But tell the people where we can find you.
I did a show right before this with my man Mike and Tiago breaking down the Sixers. If you love Sixers content, there's that. Just follow these guys over here. These guys crush it. They're always amazing follows on X or Twitter. Go check them out. As always, we're gearing up for Sixers content here. We're doing post games starting tomorrow night and watch parties and all of that kind of stuff. So Sixers and Eagles all the time, NFL draft all the time. I don't even know where to begin. I put out like 6 videos a week. So I'll have 3 videos out today. So,
like I said, I think it would be a shorter list to name all the things you're not doing.
Yeah,
Perfectly honest. So,
it's legit hard to ramp myself up for the Sixers. I'm not kidding, man. Like, that is a struggle.
That's why I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
that was great, Shane.
And last but not least, go Phillies. Oh my God, I need a win tomorrow. Must win Game 3.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. It is hard for the Sixers to kind of get excited with everything that happened this offseason with the Phillies in the playoffs in the second round and the Eagles starting off 5-0. It's really hard to kind of give them the time of day. So I get it, but we'll ramp up soon enough. But Sixers are the Cowboys of the NBA. Wow, crabby old man.
I got it. I get that.
I do too. All right, David, tell the folks where we can find you.
You can follow me on X at PHL Eagle News or look at my written work at phillycovercorner.com. And if you are not lucky enough to be going to the actual game like Ryan on Sunday, the Eagles are having a watch party at Lincoln Financial Field. It's only $10 to go there and watch the game with everybody. They're going to have some former players out there, cheerleaders, face painting, free locker tours. It's only $10 to get in, and all the money benefits the Eagles Autism Foundation. So it's a great cause as well. So it'll be a good time, good alternative to not actually being at the game. If you can't go, it's a great place to watch it. They rarely do it, so take advantage of it.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier that they're doing it at the one away game that I'm going this year. Gotta love that, right? But yes, I will be there live in person. I will be talking to the people at the Philly Sports Trips tailgate as we're going to be going up on to New York through them. So if you guys have not ever used them, I've gone with them a bunch of times. They put on the best show, the best tailgate. In fact, I have a little too good of a time sometimes, so I'm starting to get a reputation. But oh well. But yeah, you can certainly find me here every Tuesday night with three of the most amazing hosts there is in the business. So check us out every Tuesday at 8. Throughout the week, I'm always on shows in Edge of Philly Sports on my network, on Philly Sports Alliance. Check everybody out here on YouTube and Facebook and X, and here's my Twitter X handle, whatever. But yeah, I got shows on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and again, I'm all over the place. So check us out. Support your local podcasters, your local sports media personalities. Cannot thank everybody enough for chatting with us, being a part of the show. That's really what makes this show a lot of fun, is hearing from you folks. So thank you very much. We hope to see you each and every Tuesday at 8 o'clock for another episode of the Birds of the Round Table, where we will break down, hopefully, an Eagles win versus the Jets. So for myself, for Shane, for Dives, for David, I'm pointing the wrong ways, and I do not care. We will see you guys next week on the Birds of the Round Table.